Hello, Julian? Hello, hello?
One pocket dial. 3 seconds of sound. My husband's laugh. My best friend's voice saying, "Come back to bed, Jules." Nobody calls him Jules except her. Singapore. That's where he told me he was. But I recognized the background noise. The hotel bar 20 minutes from our house. In that moment, my perfect marriage, my perfect friendship, my perfect life became a crime scene. And I became the detective. Before we begin, if you love stories about betrayal, justice, and women who fight back smarter, not louder, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, what I did to both of them is absolutely diabolical, and stay until the end because the public exposure I orchestrated, it destroyed them both beautifully. My name is Vivian Montgomery, and I need to tell you about the phone call that shattered everything I thought I knew. But first, you need to understand who I was before that moment. I was the perfect society wife, the woman who hosted flawless dinner parties, chaired charity galas, and made my husband Julian look good in every room we entered. 6 years of marriage to a man everyone called brilliant and driven. Cold, yes. Distant sometimes, but successful, powerful, and mine. And Amber? Amber Rossi was my person. 12 years of friendship, the edgy one to my polished, the wild to my controlled. She was the sister I chose, the woman I trusted with every secret, every doubt, every fear. Here's what I didn't know. While I was planning our anniversary party, they were planning their future. While I was introducing Amber to Julian's business partners at dinners I hosted, she was sleeping with him in hotels I helped pay for. While I encouraged her to take spa weekends to distress, she was meeting my husband. If you've ever been betrayed by the two people you trusted most, drop a comment below. You're not alone, and I promise you, there's a way to come back stronger. That Tuesday afternoon, I was reviewing seating charts for our charity gala. My phone rang. Julian's name. I smiled. He always called from Singapore to say goodnight. But there was no international delay, just the clink of glasses, piano music, and her voice, breathy, intimate, familiar. "Come back to bed, Jules." I should have screamed, cried, called him back demanding answers. Instead, I did something they never expected. I opened my laptop, pulled up our joint credit card statements. Whiskey started. I sat at my desk in our home office, the one with the view Julian always bragged about to clients, and opened 18 months of credit card statements. The same statements I'd glanced at before, looking only for errors, trusting that my husband's business expenses were exactly what he said they were. Business lunches, client dinners, professional development. I was such a fool. With Amber's voice still echoing in my head, "Come back to bed, Jules." I started from the beginning, January of last year. My fingers trembled as I scrolled, but I forced them steady. Emotion later, evidence first. The Grand Paloma Hotel, $473. The same night Julian texted me he'd be working late on the Mendoza account. I remembered that night. I'd saved him dinner, fell asleep on the couch waiting. He came home at 2 a.m., smelling like whiskey, and apologized for losing track of time. I highlighted it in yellow on my screen, kept scrolling. 2 weeks later, Rothman's fine jewelry, $895. I felt my stomach drop. That was 3 days before Amber's birthday last year. The birthday where she showed up to our celebration lunch, wearing a delicate gold bracelet I'd complimented. "Oh, this old thing?" she'd said, touching it like it was nothing special. Treated myself with his money. Our money. Money from the joint account I deposited my inheritance into. I highlighted it in red. The pattern emerged slowly at first, then all at once, like one of those optical illusions where you can't see the hidden image, until suddenly it's the only thing you can see. Every business trip Julian took corresponded with a hotel charge. Not just the Grand Paloma, the Belmont, the Rousseau, the Eclipse, All 5-star, all local. None more than 30 minutes from our house. Singapore, Chicago, Boston, New York. That's what his calendar said. That's what he told me over breakfast, kissing my forehead before he left with his carry-on luggage. But the credit card told a different story. The credit card didn't lie. I opened a new spreadsheet, titled it Home Renovation Ideas, and password protected it. Inside, I created columns. Date. Location, Julian claimed. Actual charge. Amount. Description. Row after row, I filled it in. My hands moved mechanically, but my heart was breaking in slow motion. February, another hotel. Same night he said he was in Chicago for a conference. March, dinner at Lucia's. Sio, the Italian restaurant with candlelit tables and a 6-week waiting list. The reservation was for 2. I know because I'd tried to book it for our anniversary, and they were fully booked. Julian took Amber there instead. I pulled up Amber's Instagram, scrolled back through her carefully curated feed of artful coffee cups and sunset photos and inspirational quotes about self-love. There, March 14th, a photo of handmade pasta, soft focus, romantic lighting. Caption, sometimes you just need to treat yourself to a solo dinner, learning to enjoy my own company, #self-love, #solo dining. The charge on our credit card, March 14th. Lucia's restaurant, $168. She wasn't alone. She was with my husband, eating food I helped pay for, posting about self-love while destroying mine. I wanted to vomit. Instead, I took a screenshot, added it to a folder I created called Evidence, kept going, jewelry before her birthday, jewelry before Christmas, jewelry before Valentine's Day. A day Julian told me he didn't believe in commercialized romance. "We're above that, Viv," he'd said, kissing my hand across our kitchen table. Meanwhile, he'd bought Amber a necklace. I found the charge. Rothman's again, $1,500, hotels every business trip, restaurants I'd never been to, spa packages, wine deliveries, flowers. God, the flowers. Petal and stem, our florist. The same florist who did our wedding. I called them. "Hi, this is Vivian Montgomery. I'm trying to track down a delivery for my records. Do you have a standing order under my husband's name?" The cheerful woman on the phone tapped her keyboard. "Oh, yes. Julian Montgomery. Every other Friday. White orchids delivered to the Belmont Hotel, room 412. Has been for, let me see, 14 months now. Such a romantic gesture." I thanked her. Hung up. Stared at the wall. 14 months. Not 18. 14. Which meant there were 4 months I hadn't found yet. 4 months of charges I'd missed. 4 months of lies that predated even my earliest discovery. I went back further, found them. Smaller charges at first. Coffee shops, casual restaurants. The beginning of the affair, when they were still being careful. Before they got comfortable. Before they started spending freely, arrogantly, certain I'd never notice. By the time I finished, I had 63 separate incidents documented. 63 times my husband and my best friend betrayed me while I smiled and hosted dinners and introduced Amber to Julian's colleagues and asked him about his day. If you're watching this and you've ever had that gut feeling something was wrong but talked yourself out of it, leave a comment. Trust your instincts. They're trying to save you. It was almost midnight when I closed my laptop. Julian was due home tomorrow from his Singapore trip. I needed to be ready. Not for confrontation, not yet. For performance. I went to our bedroom. The bed we'd shared for 6 years. The bed where he'd held me after my mother's funeral. The bed where we'd planned our future. The bed where, apparently, Amber had also been. I pulled back the covers slowly, like I was defusing a bomb. Got in, laid my head on my pillow. Then I turned and looked at Julian's side. That's when I saw it. A single strand of long, dark hair on his pillowcase. Not mine. Mine is shoulder length and lighter. Not from our housekeeper. She has short gray hair and only comes Tuesdays. Amber's hair is long and dark, and she's always flipping it over her shoulder when she laughs. My hand shook as I reached for it, held it up in the lamplight. It was real, solid, undeniable. She'd been here, in our bed. While I was at my book club, or the grocery store, or having lunch with my mother. She'd been in our home, in our bed, touching our sheets, breathing our air. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The tears were stuck somewhere behind my ribs, behind the rage, behind the methodical documentation I'd spent 4 hours compiling. Instead, I got up, found a small Ziploc bag in the bathroom, placed the hair inside with tweezers, dated it, added it to my evidence folder. Then I got back in bed, laid perfectly still on my side, and stared at the wall until sunrise. When Julian came through the door the next afternoon, rolling his suitcase behind him, I was in the kitchen with dinner in the oven and a smile on my face. "Welcome home, honey," I said, kissing his cheek. "How was Singapore?" He smiled, that easy, confident smile I used to love. Long flight, but productive. "I'm so glad." I handed him a scotch, exactly how he liked it. "Tell me everything." And as he lied to my face about meetings and clients and jet lag, I nodded and asked follow-up questions and played the role I'd perfected over 6 years of marriage. The perfect wife, the trusting wife, the wife who didn't know her husband had just spent 3 days at the Grand Paloma Hotel with her best friend. But now I knew something Julian and Amber didn't. I knew the next morning, after Julian left for his office, and who knew if he was actually going there anymore. I made myself coffee and opened both our shared calendar and Amber's Instagram side by side on my laptop screen. I'd been looking at these things separately for years. Julian's meticulous calendar that blocked out every meeting, every trip, every obligation in color-coded precision. Amber's carefully curated social media presence, all moody photographs and captions about self-care and personal growth and finding yourself. But I'd never looked at them together. I should have looked at them together. I started with the obvious one. Julian's Singapore trip from 3 days ago. Blue block on the calendar. Singapore, client meetings, November 2nd to 5th. I scrolled to Amber's Instagram, posted 4 days ago, a photo of cucumber slices and a white robe. Caption, taking a much-needed spa weekend to reset and recharge. Sometimes the best thing you can do is disconnect. Phone off, world off, just me and some serious self-care. Hashtag spa weekend, hashtag me time, hashtag disconnect. My hand tightened around my coffee mug. I went back further. October. Julian's calendar, Chicago Finance Conference, October 15th to 17th. I remembered that trip. I'd ironed his shirts myself, packed his favorite cufflinks, reminded him to take his allergy medication. Amber's Instagram, October 14th. A photo taken from an airplane window, clouds and wing visible. Caption, heading home to see the family. Not Dad's birthday weekend. Time with the people who knew you before you became who you are. Grateful for roots. Hashtag family time. Hashtag hometown vibes. Chicago. Amber's family lived in Portland. I screenshot both. Saved them in my evidence folder. Kept going. September. Julian. Boston Leadership Summit, September 8th to 10th. I remembered this one too, because it was our anniversary weekend. He'd apologized profusely, said the timing was non-negotiable, promised to make it up to me. I'd spent our anniversary having dinner with my mother, wearing the dress I'd bought for a romantic dinner that never happened. Amber's Instagram, September 7th. Another spa robe photo, this time with a face mask. Caption, sometimes you have to choose yourself. Canceled my date night plans for a weekend of total relaxation. He'll understand. If he doesn't, he's not the one. Hashtag self-care first, hashtag know your worth, hashtag spa day. She didn't cancel a date. She was the date. She was with my husband on my anniversary. I felt something crack inside my chest, but I kept screenshotting, kept scrolling, kept documenting. August, July, June. Every single time Julian's calendar showed travel, Amber's Instagram showed an excuse: a spa weekend, a yoga retreat, visiting family, a mental health day, a canceled date, girl time with college friends I'd never heard her mention before. May, Julian in New York for client acquisition. Amber posted a photo of a book and a latte. Staying in this weekend. Sometimes the best adventures are the ones you have with yourself and a good book. Hashtag introverting, hashtag me time. April. Julian at a leadership conference in Denver. Amber's post. A silhouette at sunset. Taking time to find myself again. Solo trip to clear my head. No agenda, no plan, just being present. Hashtag solo travel, hashtag find yourself. March. The Lucha's restaurant dinner I'd already found on the credit card. Amber's post of the handmade pasta. Solo dinner at the place I've been dying to try. Table for one and I've never felt more free. Hashtag solo dining, hashtag self-love. Table for one. She'd written table for one while sitting across from my husband. I went back an entire year, 18 months, 20 months. Every trip matched, every single one. But it was worse than that, because as I sat there, staring at two screens that told the same story in different languages, I started to remember. Not just the trips, the conversations, the encouragement. I remembered sitting in Amber's apartment last November, 14 months ago, when she'd sighed dramatically and said she was burnt out from work. I just need to get away, recharge. You should do it, I'd said, squeezing her hand. You work so hard. Take a spa weekend. You deserve it. She'd smiled at me, hugged me. You're the best friend a girl could ask for. That weekend, Julian went to Seattle for a client pitch. I'd encouraged him to go too. It's a great opportunity, honey. Don't worry about me. I'd sent them both away, given them my blessing, told them they deserved it. I remembered August, when Amber had shown up to our lunch date looking tired. Rough week? I'd asked. Just, dating is exhausting. Think I need a break from it all. Take some time for yourself, I'd said. You don't need a man to be happy. Focus on you. You're so right, Viv. Maybe I'll do a solo trip, just me and my thoughts. That sounds perfect. You should absolutely do that. That was the week Julian went to Boston, the week of our anniversary that he missed. Every conversation came flooding back. Every time Amber had confided in me about needing space, needing time alone, needing to disconnect. Every time I'd been supportive, understanding, encouraging. She'd been building alibis, using our friendship as cover. And I'd helped her. If someone you trusted ever manipulated you into being complicit in your own betrayal, comment below. You're not alone, and it's not your fault for being kind. I opened our text message thread, scrolled back through months of conversations. Me. How was the spa weekend? Amber. Exactly what I needed. Feel like a new person. Thanks for pushing me to go. Me. Glad your family time was good. Your dad must have been so happy. Amber. He was. Some things are more important than work, you know? Me. Solo dinner. Look at you. How was it? Amber. Honestly liberating. Every woman should do it. Every response was a lie wrapped in a life lesson. Every answer was designed to make me feel good about supporting her growth while she destroyed my marriage. I looked at her posts again with new eyes. The captions weren't just performative self-care nonsense. They were strategic. They were documentation of her alibi. If anyone ever questioned where she was, she had public posts showing her spa weekends and solo trips and family time. She'd been planning this, carefully, methodically, but she'd made one mistake. She'd assumed I'd never look at the calendar and the Instagram posts together, She'd assumed I'd stay in my neat little boxes, supportive friend over here, trusting wife over there, and never cross-reference the two. I started taking screenshots of everything, every post, every date, every caption. I downloaded her entire Instagram history using a third-party app I found. I wasn't risking her deleting anything. I exported Julian's calendar to a PDF, backed it up to 3 different cloud services. Then I created a new document in my encrypted folder. 2 columns. Left side, Julian's calendar entry. Right side, Amber's corresponding Instagram post. Date stamps on both. The evidence was damning, undeniable, airtight. 23 trips, 23 matching social media alibis. 23 times they'd coordinated their lies, while I coordinated their cover stories. I sat back and looked at what I'd built. This wasn't just an affair. This was architecture. This was structural betrayal, load-bearing deception. They hadn't just fallen into this. They'd constructed it. Piece by piece, lie by lie, month after month, and they'd used me as the foundation. My phone buzzed. Text from Amber. "Coffee tomorrow. Feel like I haven't seen you in forever. Miss my girl." I stared at the message. Miss my girl. She'd sent this before, probably right after spending a weekend with my husband. It was part of the pattern. Come back from a solo trip and immediately reach out to maintain the friendship, reinforce the alibi, ensure I didn't suspect anything. I typed back, "Would love that. I've missed you too. Let's do our usual spot." Her response came immediately. "Perfect. 10 a.m.? Can't wait to catch up." I bet she couldn't. I looked at my screens again. The calendar, the Instagram, the text messages, the credit card statements from yesterday, the hair in the Ziploc bag. They thought they were so careful, so smart, so far ahead of me. But they'd left a trail, and I'd followed it. And now I had a map of every lie they'd ever told. I saved everything one more time, backed it up again. Then I closed my laptop and finished my coffee. Tomorrow I'd have coffee with Amber and smile and laugh and ask about her week. I'd play my role perfectly, because that's what they'd taught me to do. And I was a very, very good student. I discovered the cloud backup by accident. Or maybe it was the universe finally throwing me a bone after watching me suffer in silence for weeks. Julian and I shared an iCloud family account, one of those things we'd set up years ago for convenience, so we could share photos and calendars and find each other's phones. What Julian apparently forgot, in his arrogance or his carelessness or both, was that text message backups were turned on. Every message he'd ever sent from his phone had been quietly uploading to our shared cloud storage. I found it 3 days after the coffee date with Amber, the one where she'd hugged me tight and told me I looked tired and maybe I should book a spa weekend for myself. "You deserve some self-care, Viv. You're always taking care of everyone else." The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so devastating. I was looking for a photo from our honeymoon, actually looking for it, because I needed something from our past to remind me that what we had was once real, when I saw the folder. Julian's iPhone backup, last updated, yesterday. I clicked it, and there they were, months and months of text messages, organized by contact. I scrolled until I found her name. Amber. My finger hovered over it for a long moment. This was different than credit card statements and Instagram posts. This was their actual words, their private conversation, the things they said when they thought no one was listening. I clicked. The most recent message was from 2 days ago. From Julian. "V is at her book club until 10. I can swing by for an hour." Amber's response. "Your hour or an actual hour?" Julian. "Funny. I miss you." Amber. "You just saw me Thursday." Julian. "Not long enough. Never long enough." I scrolled up and up and up. September. Julian. "She's planning your birthday dinner, trying to surprise you. Act shocked when she tells you about it." Amber. "God, this is getting complicated." Julian. "Just a few more months. I promise we'll tell her soon. Amber, you keep saying that. August. Amber, does she suspect anything? Julian, she never suspects anything. That's what makes this so easy. My breath caught in my throat. Easy. He called betraying me easy. Amber, sometimes I feel guilty. Julian, don't. We're not doing anything wrong. We're just finally admitting what we've always felt. Amber, when did we start feeling it? Julian, your first dinner at our house, remember? You wore that green dress. Vivian introduced us and I thought, this woman is everything my wife wishes she could be. I remembered that dinner, 4 years ago. I'd been so excited for them to meet. My husband and my best friend, the two most important people in my life. I'd planned the menu for days, worn my favorite dress, made sure everything was perfect. And while I was serving dessert, my husband was deciding my best friend was better than me. I kept scrolling, my hands shaking now. July. Julian. Conference in Denver next week. Can you get away? Amber. Already told Viv I need a solo trip to clear my head. She was so supportive. Julian. She's always supportive. It's almost sad. Amber. Don't be mean. She's a good person. Julian. I know. That's why this is hard. Amber. Then maybe we should stop. Julian. Could you stop? Amber. No. Julian. Then we won't. If you're going through something hard right now, a breakup, a betrayal, anything, know that you're stronger than you think. Drop a heart in the comments if you need this reminder today. I went back further. May, April, March. The messages got worse, more explicit, more casual, more cruel. March. Amber. She called me crying today. Said she feels like you're distant lately. Julian. What did you tell her? Amber. That you're stressed about work, that all marriages go through rough patches, that she should be more understanding. Julian. Perfect. You're good at this. Amber. I'm a terrible person. Julian. You're the woman I love. That makes you perfect. I felt bile rise in my throat. While I was crying to Amber about feeling disconnected from my husband, she was sleeping with him and coaching me to be more understanding of his distance, the distance that existed because of her. February, Valentine's Day. Julian. Got you something. Don't post it on Instagram until next week. Amber. Why? Julian. Vivian will see it. She thinks I don't do Valentine's Day. Amber. You don't. For her. Julian. I do it for you. The necklace. The $1,500 necklace he bought Amber while telling me he didn't believe in commercialized romance. January. A message that made my blood run cold. Amber. How much longer are we doing this? Sneaking around. Lying. I'm tired. Julian. Soon. Next month we'll sit her down and tell her. I promise. Amber. You promised that at Christmas too. Julian. I mean it this time. We'll tell her in February, after her mother's birthday. I don't want to ruin that for her. My mother's birthday. He was so considerate. Didn't want to ruin a family celebration by announcing he was leaving me. Except February came and went. March, April, May. They never told me. I scrolled to the oldest messages, found the beginning. November 2 years ago. Before I knew they'd even exchanged numbers. Julian. Thanks for the recommendation on the restaurant. Client loved it. Amber. Anytime. Vivian's always saying what a foodie you are. Happy to help. Julian. Grab coffee sometime? Pick your brain about the West Side market opportunities? Amber. Sure, I know a place. Innocent, professional. And then, 3 coffees later, Julian. I can't stop thinking about you. Amber. Julian, don't. Julian. I know, I'm sorry. Forget I said anything. Amber. I can't stop thinking about you either. And that's where it started. A confession that became a kiss, that became a 22-month affair, that became my life falling apart. I kept reading. I couldn't stop. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. They talked about me constantly. V did this. V said that. V doesn't know. V won't find out. They discussed their future, moving to Portland together. Julian starting over with a new firm. Amber finally opening the boutique she'd always dreamed about. My husband funding her dream with our money. They shared photos. Not just any photos, photos taken in our house. Amber in our bed, wearing one of my silk robes. Julian in our kitchen, making breakfast. A selfie of them on our couch with the caption from Amber, "Playing house while the wife is away." I wanted to scream, to throw my laptop across the room, to call them both right now and unleash everything I'd been holding in for weeks. But I didn't. Instead, I created a new folder on my encrypted external drive, downloaded every single message, every photo, every casual cruelty and calculated deception. Months of evidence that showed exactly who they were when they thought no one was watching. I found the most recent message thread again. From last week, Amber. "I'm tired of waiting, Julian. You said we'd tell her months ago." Julian. I know. It's just, the timing has to be right." Amber. "The timing is never going to be right. You need to just do it." Julian. "After the gala, once that's over, we'll sit her down." I promise. Amber. "You said that 6 months ago." Julian. "This time I mean it. After the gala, we tell her everything. We start our life together, no more hiding." The gala. The charity gala I was co-chairing, the one I'd been planning for 8 months, the one honoring family values in business. They were going to wait until after I'd done all the work, made all the connections, ensured the event was a success. Then they'd tell me, discard me, move on with their lives while I picked up the pieces. I sat back in my chair, staring at my laptop screen. They'd been planning to leave me all along, not in some distant, abstract future. They'd set a date, after the gala, 3 weeks from now, which meant I had 3 weeks to decide how this story ended. Their version had me finding out after the gala. Devastated, humiliated, so probably falling apart while they rode off into their sunset together, funded by our joint accounts and my trust fund. But now I knew their timeline, their plan, their every move, and knowledge I was learning was its own kind of power. I saved everything one more time, backed it up to 3 different drives, encrypted it all with passwords only I knew. Then I opened my own calendar and looked at the date of the gala, November 18th, 3 weeks away. They wanted to wait until after the gala to destroy my life. Fine. I'd wait until the gala to destroy theirs. I needed a phone charger, such a simple, mundane thing. The kind of thing that wouldn't matter at all, except that it led me to Julian's desk drawer, the one he always kept locked, but apparently forgot to secure that morning in his rush to get to the office. I wasn't snooping. Not really. I was just looking for a spare iPhone cable because mine had finally given up after years of use. I pulled open the top drawer, pens, business cards, old receipts. The middle drawer, files, documents, nothing interesting. The bottom drawer stuck a little, and when I tugged it open, I heard the jingle of metal against wood. A key ring, silver, simple, with 2 keys attached, and a small tag in handwriting I would recognize anywhere. Amber's distinctive looping script, the way she always drew little hearts instead of dots over her eyes. For emergencies, heart. My hand froze on the keys. I lifted them slowly, like they might burn me. Turned them over, studied them in the afternoon light coming through Julian's office window. One key I didn't recognize, but the other one, the brass one with the slight scratch on the edge, I knew that key. It was a copy of our house key. My house key. The keys slipped from my fingers and clattered onto the desk. I stared at them, my brain struggling to process what I was seeing. Amber had a key to our house. Not just access through me, her own key. tagged in her handwriting, hidden in Julian's desk, for emergencies. What kind of emergencies? My hands were shaking as I picked up the keys again and walked downstairs to our front door. I slid the brass key into the lock. It turned smoothly. Perfect fit. I pulled it out, walked to the back door, tried it there too. It worked. She could come and go as she pleased. While I was at work, while I was running errands, while I was having lunch with my mother, or attending my book club, or doing any of the 1,000 things that took me away from this house. Our house, my sanctuary, the place I felt safest. Why she'd been here, I needed to know how many times. I needed to see it, our security system. We'd installed it 2 years ago after a string of break-ins in the neighborhood. Cameras at every entrance, motion sensors, cloud storage of all footage. Julian had insisted on the top-of-the-line system, said it would give me peace of mind when he traveled. The irony was almost funny. I went back to Julian's office and opened the security app on his desktop. He always stayed logged in, another careless habit I was now grateful for. The interface loaded. Weeks of footage, organized by camera and date. I started with last Tuesday, the day I'd been at my pottery class from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. The class Amber knew about because I'd invited her to join me. "Not really my thing," she'd said, "but you have fun." I pulled up the front door camera. She fast-forwarded through the morning. There, 1:47 p.m. The timestamp glowed in the corner. A figure approaching the door. Dark hair, leather jacket. Amber. She looked around once. Casual, not furtive, like she had every right to be there. Then she pulled out a key. My key. Let herself in. I switched to the interior hallway camera. She closed the door behind her. Stood in the entryway for a moment, looking around like she was admiring a museum exhibit. Then she walked toward the kitchen. The camera angles switched automatically as she moved through the house. Kitchen. She opened our refrigerator, took out a bottle of water. My bottle of sparkling water, the expensive kind I ordered special. Living room. She sat on our couch, put her feet up on the coffee table, scrolled through her phone. My stomach was churning, but I kept watching. She stood up, walked toward the stairs. The bedroom camera showed her entering our room, mine and Julian's, and I felt something inside me crack. She wasn't rushing, wasn't sneaking. She walked in like she owned it. She went to my dresser, picked up my perfume, the Chanel No. 5 Julian bought me for our first anniversary, sprayed it in the air, walked through the mist. She opened my jewelry box, touched my necklaces, my earrings, held my grandmother's pearls up to her neck, looking in the mirror. Then she walked to the bed. Our bed. She stood there for a moment, just looking at it. Then she sat down on Julian's side, ran her hand across his pillow, lay back, stretching out across the mattress like she was testing it for comfort. She pulled out her phone, angled it above her, took a selfie. I watched her smile at the camera. That same smile I'd seen 1,000 times across coffee shop tables and during girls' nights. The smile of my best friend. Except she wasn't taking a selfie in a coffee shop. She was taking a selfie in my bed, in my home, surrounded by my things. She stayed there for 11 minutes, just lying there, looking around my bedroom, touching my husband's pillow, existing in my space like she was trying it on for size. Then she got up, smoothed the comforter, fluffed the pillows, erasing the evidence of her presence. She walked back downstairs, let herself out, locked the door behind her. Total time in my house, 26 minutes. I barely made it to the bathroom before I vomited. I knelt on the cold tile floor, forehead pressed against the toilet seat, body heaving even after there was nothing left. My bathroom, my house, my life. She'd been here. How many times? How many afternoons had she let herself in while I was out living my life, thinking I was safe, thinking my home was mine? I pulled myself up, rinsed my mouth, looked at my reflection in the mirror. I looked pale, hollow, like someone had reached inside me and scooped out everything that made me solid. I went back to Julian's office, opened the security footage again, started scrolling back through weeks of recordings. There, 2 weeks ago, Thursday afternoon, Amber entering at 2:15 p.m., leaving at 3:40 p.m. 3 weeks ago, Monday morning, she stayed for 40 minutes. A month ago, she brought coffee, sat in our kitchen, went through our mail. I found 8 separate visits over 2 months. 8 times she'd used that key. 8 times she'd walked through my home, touched my things, existed in my space without my knowledge or permission. The girls' nights came flooding back. All those evenings when Amber would come over and we'd drink wine and talk about everything. She'd compliment my decorating, ask where I bought things, comment on how comfortable our couch was, how nice the bedroom looked, how she loved the layout of the master bath. She wasn't making conversation. She was cataloging, taking inventory, reporting back to Julian about the house that would soon be theirs once they got rid of me. Every compliment was reconnaissance. Every question was intelligence gathering. Every moment of our friendship for the past 2 years had been her studying my life so she could step into it. I looked at the key ring still sitting on Julian's desk. For emergencies. The emergency of wanting to be in my house. The emergency of needing to touch my things. The emergency of playing house with my husband in the home I'd built. I picked up my phone, called a locksmith. I need all my locks changed. Today, every door, every entrance. Can you come now? The man on the other end hesitated. It's already 4 p.m., ma'am. That's a rush job. I'll pay double, triple. I need it done today. I can be there in an hour. I sat in Julian's office until the locksmith arrived, watched him remove our old locks and install new ones. Gave him cash so there'd be no credit card record for Julian to find. Took the new keys and put them on my own key ring. Then I took Amber's key, the old key that no longer worked, and put it back in Julian's drawer exactly where I'd found it. Let her try to use it next time. Let her stand at my door and realize it doesn't work anymore. Let her panic. Let her wonder if I knew. Julian was actually traveling this time. I'd verified it, called the hotel in Boston, where he claimed to be staying, confirmed his reservation. He wouldn't be home for 2 days. 2 days where this house was mine again, where the locks only I had keys to protected me, where no one could enter without my permission. I walked through each room slowly, touched my things, reclaimed my space. This was my home. Mine. And Amber would never set foot in it again. I found the lawyer through a colleague at the Museum Foundation where I volunteered. Someone outside my social circle. Someone who didn't know Julian or Amber. Someone who wouldn't ask questions at the country club. Her name was Patricia Chen, and her assistant could see me Thursday at 2 p.m. I told Julian I had a dentist appointment. Patricia's office was in a steel and glass building downtown, far from the neighborhood where everyone knew the Montgomery name. I sat in the waiting room with my laptop bag clutched against my chest, feeling like I was about to confess to a crime instead of document one. Mrs. Montgomery? The assistant smiled at me. Patricia will see you now. Patricia Chen was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit. She gestured to the leather chair across from her desk. Thank you for seeing me on short notice, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Of course. Your colleague spoke highly of you. She said you needed someone discreet. Patricia folded her hands on her desk. What can I help you with? I opened my laptop, pulled up the folders I'd spent weeks compiling, turned the screen toward her. My husband is having an affair with my best friend. It's been going on for almost 2 years, and I have evidence. For the next 40 minutes, I walked her through everything. The credit card statements with highlighted charges, the calendar and Instagram posts side by side, screenshots of the text messages from the cloud backup, the security footage of Amber in our house, the key, the timeline, all of it. Patricia didn't interrupt. She took notes, nodded occasionally. Her expression remained professionally neutral until I showed her the messages where Julian and Amber mocked me. "She never suspects anything," Patricia read aloud. Her jaw tightened. "I see." When I finished, she sat back in her chair and studied me. "Mrs. Montgomery, may I call you Vivian?" "Please." "Vivian, I've been practicing family law for 15 years. This is the most thoroughly documented case of infidelity I've ever seen." She gestured at my laptop. "This is airtight. Timestamps, financial records, digital communications, video evidence. Any judge would rule in your favor." I felt a small surge of validation. "So I can divorce him?" "You can absolutely divorce him." Patricia leaned forward. "But if you confront him now, if you walk in tonight and throw this evidence in his face, you will lose your financial advantage." I blinked. "What do you mean?" "Right now, your husband doesn't know that you know. That gives you power, time, the ability to protect yourself financially before he can hide assets or drain accounts." She pulled out a legal pad. "How are your finances structured?" "We have joint accounts, checking, savings. He has business accounts in his name. I have a trust fund from my grandmother. That's separate, in my name only." "Good. That trust fund is protected. What about the house?" "Both our names on the deed. We bought it together 6 years ago." "Retirement accounts?" "His 401k through his firm. I have an IRA from before we married." Patricia wrote quickly. "Here's what's going to happen if you confront him without preparation. He'll be angry, defensive, and if he's smart, which I assume he is, he'll immediately call his own lawyer. They'll advise him to freeze joint accounts, max out credit cards, hide assets in his business. By the time we get to court, the money trail will be so convoluted it'll take months to untangle. Meanwhile, you have no access to funds for legal fees or living expenses." My stomach dropped. "But I have evidence." "Evidence gets you the divorce. Strategy gets you the settlement." Patricia tapped her pen on her desk. "You said there's a charity gala in 3 weeks where you're planning to expose them publicly?" "Yes." "Here's my advice. Don't confront them at the gala. At least, not without preparing first." She slid a document across the desk. "I need you to do exactly what I tell you, in the exact order I tell you. Can you do that?" I looked at the document. A retainer agreement. I thought about Julian and Amber in our bed. The messages, the mockery, the key. "Yes." "Good. First, we protect your assets. Tomorrow, you open a personal checking account at a different bank, not the one you and Julian use. Transfer your trust fund money there, all of it." "Won't he notice?" "It's your money. You have every legal right to move it. If he asks, you're diversifying investments." "But he won't ask because men like Julian don't pay attention to money that's not theirs." Patricia made another note. "Second, you document every purchase he made for Amber using joint funds, every hotel, every piece of jewelry, every dinner. That's called dissipation of marital assets. We can argue he wasted marital property on an extramarital affair. The court can make him pay that back to you in the settlement." I pulled up my spreadsheet. "I have it all here. 63 separate purchases over 18 months. Total of $41,000. Patricia's eyebrows rose. $41,000. That's excellent. Save that, back it up, and give me a copy." "Already done." Third, you remove yourself as an authorized user on his business credit cards. Do it online, quietly. If he asks, tell him your card was compromised and you requested a new one be sent to your maiden name for security. But again, he probably won't notice. I nodded, taking notes now myself. Fourth, you stop contributing to joint accounts. Your trust fund distributions, any income you have, it goes into your personal account only. From now on, you're financially separating yourself without him knowing. What about household expenses? Let him pay them. They're coming out of joint accounts anyway. You just stop adding money to those accounts. Patricia leaned back. Here's the reality, Vivian. You have time and information. Those are your weapons. Use them. Spend the next 3 weeks securing every asset you can, documenting every expense, and making yourself financially bulletproof. Then, when you're ready, when everything is protected, you can decide how you want this to end. The gala, I said. I want to expose them at the gala. Why? The question caught me off guard. Because they deserve it. Because they humiliated me for 2 years, and they should feel that humiliation publicly. Patricia's expression softened slightly. I understand the impulse. I do. But public exposure is messy, it's emotional, and emotion makes people unpredictable. It also makes you look vengeful in court. So I should just… what? Tell them privately? Let them control the narrative? I'm not saying that. I'm saying think strategically. Public exposure at a charity gala gets you 1 night of satisfaction. A well-crafted divorce settlement gets you financial security for life. Which matters more? I sat with that question. Thought about the gala, the shocked faces, the whispers, Julian's business partners watching, Amber's social circle witnessing her downfall. Then I thought about waking up in a home I owned, with money and accounts only I controlled, living a life they couldn't touch. Both, I said finally. I want both. Patricia smiled. A real smile this time. Then we'll get you both. But we do it my way. Finances first, justice second. I left her office with a list of tasks and a timeline. By Friday, I'd opened a new account at a different bank and transferred my entire trust fund, $2 million, out of reach. I removed myself from Julian's business credit cards with 2 clicks online. I updated my will, removing him as beneficiary. I did it all while maintaining perfect normalcy at home. Dinner on the table at 6:30, questions about his day, see smiles and small talk, and the performance of a marriage that was already dead. Saturday morning, Julian came downstairs to find me making his favorite breakfast: eggs Benedict, fresh fruit, French press coffee. What's the occasion? He asked, kissing my cheek. No occasion. Just felt like doing something nice. I plated his food, set it in front of him. How's work going? He launched into a story about a difficult client. I nodded, asked follow-up questions, refilled his coffee. Inside, I was calculating $41,000 in dissipation, $2 million secured in my name only, 3 credit cards he could no longer charge to with my authorization, 21 days until the gala. You seem distracted, Julian said. I looked up, smiled. Just thinking about the gala, so much to coordinate still. It's going to be great. You always pull these things off perfectly. I do, don't I? He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. That's my girl. I squeezed back. Let him see the devoted wife, the woman who never suspected anything. But inside, I wasn't grieving anymore. I was strategizing. And strategy, I was learning, was so much more powerful than tears. I was looking for an email about the gala venue when I found it. An old message from Amber, buried in my archives from 3 years ago. The subject line, quick favor? I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me pause. Click. Open. Hey babe, so I know this is random, but didn't you say Julian works with Marcus Chen? I'm trying to break into commercial real estate consulting, and I heard he's the person to know. Any chance you could introduce us? No pressure, just thought I'd ask. Love you, XOXO. Marcus Chen, Julian's biggest client. The man who gave Julian the contract that made his career, that paid for our house, that funded the lifestyle Julian and Amber had been enjoying together. I stared at the date. 3 years ago, 6 months after my wedding. I opened my sent folder, found my response. Of course! Marcus is great! Julian and I are having dinner with him and his wife next Thursday at Bordeaux. Why don't you join us? I'll seat you next to him. He's going to love you. Amber's reply came minutes later. You're the best friend ever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I remembered that dinner. Amber had worn a burgundy dress, professional but striking. She'd charmed Marcus and his wife, asked intelligent questions about the market, mentioned a few insights about emerging neighborhoods. Marcus had been impressed. Han so impressed that he'd asked Julian about her the following week. 2 months later, Amber consulted on Marcus's downtown development project. 3 months after that, Marcus recommended Julian's firm to 2 other major clients. I'd thought I was helping my friend's career, but she'd been helping Julian's. I started searching my email history with new eyes, found message after message, favor after favor, introduction after introduction. 2.5 years ago. Can you introduce me to the Hendersons? I know they're looking for someone to redesign their restaurant. I'd introduced them at a charity auction I'd organized. The Hendersons hired Amber. 6 months later, they hired Julian's firm to handle their expansion financing. 2 years ago, what's that place you and Julian love for date night? The one with the amazing wine list? I'd sent her the name of Lucia's. Told her to mention my name for a reservation. She'd posted about her solo dinner there while having dinner with my husband, year after year. Introduction after introduction. I'd opened every door, made every connection, smoothed every path, and she'd walked through them all straight to Julian. I pulled up Amber's LinkedIn profile, scrolled through her connections. There, Marcus Chen, Daniel Rothman, Julian's business partner, the Hendersons, Catherine Mills from the Arts Council, the Vanderbilts, the Pescadors. Every single major connection Amber had, every client, every opportunity. I could trace it back to an introduction I'd made, a dinner I'd hosted, a connection I'd facilitated. I opened my Photos app, scrolled back to my wedding reception 6 years ago. So there, a photo my photographer had tagged "Bride introduces guests." I was in my white dress, beaming, one hand on Julian's arm, the other gesturing to Amber, who stood beside us in her bridesmaid dress. We were introducing her to Daniel Rothman. Daniel, who became Julian's business partner 2 years later. Daniel, who probably helped hide assets I didn't even know about yet. Daniel, who I'd introduced to Amber at my own wedding while trusting her with my bouquet, and my new marriage, and my future. I zoomed in on Amber's face in the photo. She was smiling at Daniel, hand extended for a handshake, but her eyes were already sliding past him. To Julian. She'd been looking at my husband at my wedding. I set my phone down, pressed my palms against my desk until my hands stopped shaking. How long had she wanted him? From the beginning? Or did it grow slowly, introduction by introduction, dinner by dinner, as she realized that getting close to Julian meant getting close to his success, his money, his life? I pulled up our old text messages, scrolled back to the early days of my relationship with Julian, before we were engaged. Me. 3rd date tonight. I really like this one. Amber. Details. What's he like? Me. Smart, driven, a little intense, but in a good way. He works in corporate finance. Very successful. Amber. Ooh, successful. I like that for you. Photo? I'd sent a photo of Julian and me at a rooftop bar, his arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder. Amber. He's gorgeous. And that view. Fancy. When do I get to meet this successful, gorgeous man? Me. Soon? Maybe next month? I want to make sure it's serious first. Amber. Smart. But also, I'm dying to meet him. Any man who makes you this happy must be special. 3 weeks later, I'd invited Amber to join us for brunch. She'd shown up in a casual sundress that was somehow perfectly styled. She'd asked Julian about his work, laughed at his jokes, complimented his taste in restaurants. After she left, I texted Julian. So? What did you think of Amber? His response. She's great. Really smart. I can see why you two are friends. Me. Right? I'm so glad you like her. She's basically my sister. Julian, you're lucky to have someone like that in your life. I scrolled further, found the text I'd sent him a month later after Amber had been through a bad breakup, and I'd invited her to stay with us for a week. Me. Thank you for being so cool about Amber staying over. I know it's a lot having a house guest. Julian. It's fine. She's easy to have around. Me. She really is, and she thinks you're amazing, by the way. She told me I'm lucky to have found such a good guy. Julian. She said that? Me. Yeah, she was really emphatic about it, actually. Said most guys would be annoyed about the house guest thing, but you've been so welcoming. Julian. Well, she's not wrong. You're lucky. Then, an hour later, another text from him. Actually, you're right. She's special. I'm glad you have her. I stared at that message. You're right. She's special. Not, she's a good friend to you. Not, I'm glad she's there for you. She's special. I'd handed her to him. Gift-wrapped, delivered with my seal of approval and my glowing recommendation. I searched for more. Sato found dozens of messages where I'd praised Amber to Julian. Her intelligence, her work ethic, her loyalty, her sense of humor. Amber gave me the best advice today about the foundation event. Amber helped me pick out your birthday gift. She has such good taste. Amber thinks you should go for that promotion. She says you're definitely ready. I'd positioned her as an ally, an asset, someone whose opinion mattered, someone he should respect and value and trust. And then I'd left them alone together, over and over. Girls' nights where Julian was home alone with nothing to do. Business trips where I'd suggested Amber check in on him. Weekends visiting my mother, where I'd told Julian to invite people over, have fun, not sit alone in the house. Had Amber been one of those people he invited over? I pulled up the security footage again. Went back further than I had before. Searched for dates when I knew I'd been traveling. There, 8 months ago. Weekend trip to visit my mother for her birthday. Friday night, 9:47 p.m. Amber entering our house, staying until 2:13 a.m. Saturday afternoon, 3:22 p.m. Amber arriving again. Leaving at 7:05 p.m. Sunday morning, 10:04 a.m. Amber with a bag of takeout, staying until 1:30 p.m. 3 days, 3 visits. While I was celebrating my mother's birthday, Amber was playing house with my husband in our home. I'd called Julian that Saturday from my mother's house. How's your weekend going? Quiet, just catching up on work, missing you. He'd been missing me while Amber was walking through our door 4 hours later. I closed my laptop, stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the perfectly manicured lawn, the garden I'd planted. Why, the home I'd built. Every connection Amber had was because of me. Every opportunity. Every door that opened for her, I'd opened it. I'd introduced her to Julian. I'd praised her to him. I'd brought her into our home, our lives, our marriage. I'd built the weapon that destroyed me. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, was that I'd done it out of love. Real love. I'd loved her like a sister, wanted good things for her, celebrated her successes, championed her to everyone I knew, while she was systematically dismantling my life. Every girl's night where she'd complimented my marriage, she was already sleeping with Julian. Every time she'd told me I was lucky, she was planning to take my place. Every introduction I'd made, thinking I was helping my friend, was another brick in the foundation of her affair with my husband. She hadn't just betrayed me, she'd used me, weaponized my generosity, turned my love into a tool. I thought about Patricia's words. Public exposure gets you one night of satisfaction. A well-crafted divorce settlement gets you financial security for life. But this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about making sure Amber lost everything I'd helped her build. Every connection, every opportunity, every door I'd opened. I was going to close them all, and she was going to watch. The gala was 3 days away. I stood in the ballroom of the Remington Hotel, clipboard in hand, watching the events team hang the banner across the stage. Building families, building futures, honoring family values in business. The irony wasn't lost on me. Mrs. Montgomery? The events coordinator touched my elbow. We need to confirm the final headcount for seating. I pulled out my tablet. 247 confirmed. Table assignments are in the system. Perfect. And the presentation? You're still doing the year in review segment? Yes. 20 minutes right before the awards. We'll have the screen and projector ready. You'll have full control from the podium. Do you want to do a tech check? Tomorrow, I'll bring my laptop and we'll run through everything. She nodded and moved on to consult with the catering manager. I looked around the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, centerpieces of white orchids, the same flowers Julian sent to Amber every other Friday. I'd chosen the flowers. The guest list was a who's who of our social circle and Julian's business world. Marcus Chen and his wife, the Rothman family, she the Vanderbilts, Daniel and his partner, everyone who mattered in Julian's professional life, everyone whose opinion he valued, everyone who could make or break a reputation. Julian had insisted on attending, of course. It's important for the firm, he'd said 2 weeks ago. Marcus will be there, and the pescadores. I should bring a few other clients too. Show support. Show support. For the charity gala, his wife had spent 8 months planning while he spent 8 months sleeping with her best friend. How many seats do you need? I'd asked, my voice perfectly pleasant. 4 should work. Can you put us at a good table? Of course, darling. I'd seated him at table 3, front and center, directly in view of the stage. Amber had texted me a week ago. So excited for the gala. Can I sit with you? I want to support my amazing best friend. I'd responded immediately. Absolutely. Table 1, right next to me. Table 1, the co-chairs table, where I'd be seated with the other event organizers and board members, where everyone would be watching us, where Amber would have nowhere to hide when the lights came up. She'd sent back a heart emoji. I went home and opened my laptop. The presentation was already built. I'd been working on it for 2 weeks. The file was labeled Gala Year in Review Final.pptx. The first 10 slides were legitimate. Photos from charity events over the past year, testimonials from families we'd helped, statistics about fundraising goals met, everything the audience expected to see. Then came slide 11. A title card in elegant script. Building Families on Foundations of Trust. Slide 12. A photo of Julian's calendar. Singapore, client meetings, November 2nd to 5th. Highlighted in yellow. Next to it, the credit card charge. Grand Paloma Hotel, November 2nd, $473. Below that, not Singapore, 20 minutes from home. Slide 13. Amber's Instagram post. The spa robe. Taking a much-needed spa weekend to reset and recharge. Next to it, the hotel room receipt. Room 412. The same room Julian had been booking for 14 months. Slide 14 through 47. The pattern. Every trip. Every lie. Calendar and Instagram side by side. Credit card statements. Text messages. The timeline of an affair documented in PowerPoint format, complete with timestamps and geolocation data. Slide 48. Security footage. A still image of Amber letting herself into our house with her key. Timestamp, 1:47 p.m. Date, last Tuesday. Slide 49. The messages. V just left for her book club. She never suspects anything. That's what makes this so easy. Slide 50. Next month we'll tell her, I promise. Julian. You said that 6 months ago. Amber final slide. Family values start with honesty. Thank you for your support. I'd built it like a closing argument. Methodical, undeniable. Each slide supporting the next. No room for excuses or explanations. Just evidence, laid out in the same careful, professional way Julian laid out his business proposals. I saved it to 3 different USB drives, backed it up to a cloud account only I had access to, so I sent a copy to Patricia with the subject line, Insurance. Her response came within an hour. Assets secured. Divorce papers drafted and ready to file. You're protected. Whatever you decide to do Saturday night, you'll be fine financially. But Vivian, are you sure about this? I typed back. I've never been more sure of anything. The dress was hanging in my closet. I'd bought it last week at a boutique in the city, paying cash, so there'd be no credit card record. Deep red silk, elegant but powerful. The kind of dress that commanded attention. The kind you wore when you had something important to say. Red for blood. Red for rage. Red for revolution. Friday night, the night before the gala, I did a final run-through in my mind. Checked every detail. Photographer confirmed. He'd be capturing candid shots throughout the evening, including reactions during presentations. Videographer confirmed. Full event coverage, multiple angles on the stage. Livestream confirmed. For donors who couldn't attend in person, the charity's social media followers, anyone who wanted to watch. 247 witnesses to what I was about to do. Saturday morning arrived cold and bright. I woke before Julian, went downstairs, made coffee. I was standing at the kitchen window when he came down in his running clothes. Big day, he said, kissing the top of my head. Very big. You nervous? I turned to look at him. Really look at him. The man I'd loved for 6 years. The man I'd built a life with. The man who'd been systematically destroying that life for almost 2 years while I smiled and made his breakfast and introduced his mistress to his clients. Not nervous. Ha, ready? He smiled. That's my Vivian. Always so composed. I handed him a coffee mug. Tonight will change everything. I know. This gala is going to be incredible. You've worked so hard on it. I have. Marcus is bringing the Chens and the Wongs. Big potential for the firm. He took a sip of coffee. I might need to schmooze a bit during cocktail hour. You okay with that? Of course. You should absolutely work the room. You're the best. He kissed my cheek. What time do you need to be there? 5. Final setup check. Guests arrive at 7. Program starts at 8. I'll meet you there at 7 with the clients. Perfect. Table 3. See you tonight. He grabbed his keys, headed for the door. Paused. Hey, Viv. Yes? I'm proud of you. This event, everything you do for the community, you're pretty amazing. I smiled. So are you, darling. So are you. He left for his run. I listened to the door close, counted to 60. Then I went upstairs and pulled the red dress from my closet. I spent the day preparing like I was going into battle. Hair appointment at 2, makeup at 3:30. I chose simple jewelry, my grandmother's diamond studs, nothing flashy. I wanted the focus on my face, on my words. At 4:45, I loaded my laptop into my bag, checked that all 3 USB drives were in my clutch, put on the red dress, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked powerful, controlled, dangerous. I looked like a woman who knew exactly what she was doing. My phone buzzed. Text from Amber. Getting ready, so excited. You're going to kill it tonight. I typed back. See you soon. Another text from Julian. Running a few minutes late, traffic. See you at 7:15. No problem, take your time. I picked up my bag, took one last look around our bedroom, the bed we'd shared, the life we'd built, the home that would soon be only mine. Then I walked downstairs, got in my car, and drove to the Remington Hotel. The events team was already setting up when I arrived. I went straight to the AV booth. I need to load my presentation. The tech handed me a cable. I connected my laptop, watched the slides load onto their system, tested the remote clicker, Advanced through the first 10 slides, the safe ones. Looks good, the tech said. Perfect, thank you. I saved the file to their backup system. Then I saved it again to a third location. If anyone tried to stop me, tried to cut the power, or interrupt the presentation, I had redundancies. Fail-safes. This was happening. Snide guests started arriving at 7. I stood in the reception area, greeting people, accepting compliments on the venue, the decorations, my dress. I smiled and thanked them and made small talk while my heart beat steady and calm in my chest. Amber arrived at 7:20, wearing a black cocktail dress, her dark hair swept up. She hugged me tight. "You look absolutely stunning," she said. "So do you." "Table 1, right?" "Right next to me." She squeezed my hand. "I'm so glad I get to be here for this. You've worked so hard." I really have. Julian arrived 10 minutes later with Marcus and 3 other clients. He caught my eye across the room, raised his glass in a small salute. I raised mine back. At 7:45, the events coordinator touched my arm. "We're ready to start seating for dinner." I watched everyone move to their tables. Julian at table 3, surrounded by his colleagues and clients. Amber at table 1, laughing with the other board members. 247 people in their seats, programs in hand, expecting an evening of celebration. At 8 p.m., the lights dimmed. The program began. Welcome remarks, a video testimonial, the executive director's speech about the families we'd helped this year. Then my introduction. And now, please welcome our co-chair, Vivian Montgomery, for a special year in review presentation. I walked to the stage. The spotlight found me. The red dress looked even better under the lights. I smiled at the audience, made eye contact with Julian, with Amber, with Marcus Chen and Daniel Rothman, and everyone else who thought they knew me. "Good evening," I said. "Thank you all for being here. Tonight is about family values, about building strong foundations, about trust." I advanced to the first slide. Let me show you what I mean. The first 10 slides went exactly as planned. Photos of smiling families we'd helped, statistics about homes built and lives changed, testimonials that brought tears to eyes around the room. I delivered each transition smoothly, professionally, exactly as I'd rehearsed. I could see Julian at table 3, relaxed, one arm draped over the back of his chair. Marcus Chen nodding approvingly beside him. The clients engaged, attentive. Amber at table 1, beaming up at me with pride. My best friend, so happy to see me succeed. I advanced to slide 11. The title appeared on the screen behind me in elegant script, Building Families on Foundations of Trust. "Tonight we're honoring family values in business," I said, my voice steady. "But before we celebrate those values, I think it's important we examine what they actually mean." I clicked to the next slide. Julian's calendar appeared on the left side of the screen. Singapore, client meetings, November 2nd to 5th, highlighted in yellow. On the right side, a credit card statement. Grand Paloma Hotel, November 2nd, $473. The room went quiet. "My husband told me he was in Singapore," I said, "but the Grand Paloma Hotel is 20 minutes from our house." I clicked again. Amber's Instagram post filled the screen. The spa robe, the cucumber slices. Taking a much-needed spa weekend to reset and recharge. Phone off, world off. Next to it, a hotel receipt. Room 412. Grand Paloma Hotel. Same dates. My best friend told me she was at a spa. She was actually in room 412 of the same hotel where my husband wasn't in Singapore. I heard a gasp from somewhere in the audience. Saw Amber's face go white. Julian was starting to stand. I clicked again, and again, and again. October. Julian's calendar, Chicago. Credit card, local hotel. Amber's Instagram, family visit. September. Julian's calendar, Boston. Our anniversary weekend. Credit card, the Rousseau Hotel. Amber's Instagram. Canceled my date night plans for self-care. August, July, June. Each click revealed another lie. Another coordinated deception. Calendar and Instagram side by side. Credit card charges and social media alibis. A pattern so clear, so undeniable, that even in the dim ballroom lighting, I could see people pulling out their phones, taking photos of the screen. Julian was on his feet now, moving toward the stage. "Vivian, stop this!" 2 security guards I'd hired specifically for tonight stepped into his path. "Sir, please return to your seat." "That's my wife." "Sir, sit down." I didn't look at him, just kept clicking. The credit card statements now, highlighted in red. Rothman's fine jewelry, $895. 3 days before Amber's birthday. Lucia's restaurant, $168. The same night, Amber posted about her solo dinner, petal and stem florist, standing order, white orchids to the Belmont Hotel, room 412, every other Friday for 14 months. $41,000, I said. That's how much of our joint money my husband spent on his affair with my best friend over 18 months. The screen changed. Text messages now. Julian to Amber. V just left for book club. Coast is clear. Amber to Julian. Does she suspect? Julian to Amber. She never suspects anything. That's what makes this so easy. Someone in the audience said, "Oh my God," loud enough to hear. I clicked again. The security footage appeared. Amber letting herself into our house. Timestamp, 1:47 p.m. Date clearly visible. This is my best friend entering my home with a key I didn't know she had. I was at my pottery class. She stayed for 26 minutes. Went into my bedroom, lay on my bed, took a selfie. The next slide showed Amber stretched across our bed, phone angled above her, smiling. Amber was standing now at table 1. Her chair knocked backward. "This is insane! Vivian, please!" I met her eyes for the first time. "Sit down, Amber." She didn't sit. She grabbed her clutch and ran toward the exit. The photographer I'd hired captured every step. The panic on her face. The stumble in her heels. The moment she pushed through the ballroom doors. I turned back to the audience. "Here's what family values look like," I said, advancing to the next slide. More messages. Julian to Amber. "Next month we'll tell her. I promise." Amber to Julian. "You said that 6 months ago." Julian to Amber. "After the gala. Once it's over, we tell her everything." They were planning to wait until after tonight, I said. After I'd done all the work planning this event. After I'd made all the connections. After this gala was a success. Then they were going to tell me they'd been having an affair for almost 2 years and leave me. I clicked to the final slide. Family values start with honesty. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. And when that trust is broken, there are consequences. The slide showed a simple line of text. Divorce papers filed November 18th, 2024. All evidence submitted to court. I set down the remote, looked at Julian, still blocked by security. His face was red. Whether from anger or humiliation, I couldn't tell. "I want to thank you all for coming tonight," I said. "The charity work continues, and I hope you'll all still support these important causes. But I won't be co-chairing anymore. I have other priorities now." I handed the microphone to Catherine Mills, the charity's executive director, who stood frozen at the side of the stage. Then I walked off the platform. The ballroom had erupted into chaos. People talking, phones out, camera flashes going off. At table 3, I saw Marcus Chen stand up, say something to Julian I couldn't hear, and walk away. Daniel Rothman followed. Then the other clients, one by one, abandoning Julian at a table that had been full 5 minutes ago. I walked through it all with my head high, the red dress swishing around my legs. I made it to the lobby. Through the lobby. out to the parking lot where the cold November air hit my face. A man in a suit was waiting by my car. Process server? Patricia had arranged it. Vivienne Montgomery? Yes. He handed me a manila envelope. You've been served. I opened it, even though I knew what it said. The divorce papers I'd had Patricia draft. Filed this morning. Officially served tonight. Night in front of 247 witnesses who'd just seen exactly why. I got in my car, sat in the driver's seat, put my hands on the steering wheel, and finally, for the first time in 6 weeks, I cried. Not sad tears, not broken tears. Relief. 3 months felt like 3 years, and also like 3 days. The divorce was finalized on a cold Tuesday in February. I kept the house. Julian didn't even fight for it. His lawyer advised him not to, given the evidence. The $41,000 he'd spent on Amber came out of his settlement. My trust fund remained untouched, protected in accounts only I controlled. Julian's business imploded within weeks. Marcus Chen pulled his contracts. Daniel Rothman dissolved their partnership. Other clients quietly moved their business elsewhere. No one wanted to be associated with the man who'd stolen from his wife to fund an affair that he'd flaunted at a charity gala. I heard he moved to Austin, started over with a smaller firm. I didn't care enough to verify. Amber left town faster. Her social circle, my social circle, froze her out immediately. The Vanderbilts uninvited her from their annual party. Catherine Mills asked her to step down from the Arts Council. Every door I'd opened for her, I watched close. She moved to Portland 3 weeks after the gala, deleted her Instagram, changed her number. I kept her key as a souvenir. The house felt too big after the divorce, too full of memories, too much performance space for a life I didn't want anymore. I sold it in March for more than we'd paid. Bought a modern apartment downtown, 10th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows. See view of the city. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 woman. It was perfect. I started the consulting firm in April, Montgomery Crisis Management. Women navigating divorce, separation, betrayal. I taught them what Patricia had taught me. Protect yourself first, grieve later. Document everything. Trust your evidence, not their excuses. My first client was a woman named Sarah, who'd found a suspicious text on her husband's phone. She sat in my office, hands shaking, asking if she was crazy. You're not crazy, I told her. And here's what we're going to do. Evidence first, emotion later. Always protect yourself. I walked her through it. Bank statements, phone records, calendar cross-references. The same methodology I'd used. 6 weeks later. She called to tell me she'd filed for divorce with her assets protected and proof of his 3-year affair. I don't know how to thank you, she said. Live well. That's how you thank me. The business grew by referral. Patricia sent clients, other lawyers, women who'd heard about the gala. My story had made the rounds, though I never confirmed the details publicly. I became known as the woman who could help you get out smart, get out safe, get out whole. My mornings now started with coffee on my balcony, watching the sunrise over the city. No performance, no careful makeup before Julian saw me. No wondering where he really was, or who he was really with. Just me and the quiet and the truth. The phone rang one morning in late spring. Unknown number. Montgomery Crisis Management. Hi, my name is Elena. My lawyer gave me your number. I found some emails and I don't know what to do. I grabbed my notebook. Tell me everything. She did. I listened, took notes, heard the fear and confusion and grief in her voice that I remembered so well. You're going to be okay, I told her when she finished. I'm going to help you, but first, I need you to do exactly what I say. Can you do that? Yes. Good. First thing, we protect your assets. After the call, I stood at my window, looked at my apartment. Small, simple, entirely mine. No Julian, no Amber, no lies. just the life I'd built from the ashes of the one they destroyed. That pocket dial didn't destroy my life. It revealed the life I had was already destroyed. Had been for almost 2 years while I smiled and hosted dinners and played the perfect wife. The call gave me permission to stop performing, to stop pretending, to build something real. I never thanked Julian for that accidental call. But every morning, I wake up in my apartment, drink my coffee in peace, and help another woman escape a beautiful lie. I almost want to. Almost.